That's how we're doing it up in this mother effer.
Geraldine Carriere, what's going
Hello.
on?
How's everybody feeling?
Feeling pretty
Better for
good.
having me.
Good.
Listen to see human. I can see you, Jacqueline. What are you doing? Like, can you close the door? And so she's like army crawling behind me. Only a pregnant woman would do that.
Mm.
Just
Is that real? I thought that
that's
was
real.
your animal.
Oh, no.
That's my house. My
Hey,
house is full of
Jacqueline.
fun. You're
Love
getting
ya.
the shout out. Went for like our last ultrasound today, yesterday, and so she's army crawling across the floor. My God.
Well,
And that
Hi,
concludes today's episode.
yeah, great. Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for
coming
coming
to
out.
my TED Talk.
Great.
Kidding, we're kidding. That's kidding. Just for anyone
Jared-
who's watching.
We have fun up on these calls, and I appreciate you being here so much. There's so much that you know that we don't know that we want to share with the world. Do we have any questions? I can't remember if this thing kicked off with questions or if we should just dive into a combo.
I don't think that we got any, so I think that we can go ahead as is. That
Sweet.
said, I think that it's worth checking on the YouTube side. If you'll bear with me here. Yes. No. So, on we go. Yeah. So, we're just gonna continue on. So, did you have a specific topic that you wanted to talk about today, Chris?
No, not really. I think the bottom line is that we can just let the conversation flow organically. Jared, why don't we start here? You have been working with us for over a year now in many capacities. Art, specific to the creative side, imagery, design, but with a focus on music. Obviously, your music, releasing an EP, a second EP underway now, and now your book, or a reimagining of your previous book. What would you say is the thing that's been the most helpful or most important in the journey so far to the successes you've had?
Well, I think that's like a very big question, but I think at the core, it is having a team of people. I think that's crucial when anybody's trying to achieve anything, is having a team of people who see the vision, support the vision, want to see it come to the same fruition that you do, and have that same level of commitment and hard work. It just takes things places that you couldn't even imagine on your own, right? So I think, yeah, having a team of people who have different perspectives, expertise, and the ability to just see outside of your own box of possibilities. So I think that was one of the biggest things. Again, having a team will give you the ability to get more work done, and of course just you know the impact is that much more. So I think that was the biggest thing for me. Was I've never really had a team of people that have been able to execute the work that I needed done, because solely it's been like a one-man project with everything that I've done. And so again, I've identified that, hey, in order for me to serve the community in the way that I want to, I had to find a group of people that would be able to get me there. So here we are. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the questions are supposed to be big and abstract, and there's no like right or wrong. So feel free to just flow and tell us what you think the answer is. 100%. So team, I mean, we agree. Having a team is so important within the creative industry. There's business and there's art, and they intersect, and it's very hard to be the artist and then take everything outwards. Not everyone can do that, and obviously, many hands lighten the load. What was the hardest part about being such a strong, independent woman, to use nice terms for you, um, to starting to work with the team, to giving away some of the power and the control. Like for you, talk about that journey a little bit.
Wow, that is a really good one. It's a juicy one. Yeah, so again, being a serial entrepreneur, a connoisseur of many things, I prided myself in the ability that I could do everything, being the jack of all trades. And I think people look down upon that. Like it's something that's like, oh, you're not the expert of anything. And it's like, who said I wanted to, you know? So it was a very challenging time for me. If we look at a year ago, the woman that I was coming into this space, I tend to be very like guns blazing. This is who I am, and this is what we're gonna do, and you guys are gonna love it. And we can see that we went through a whole bunch of challenges and had to have a lot of crucial conversations around, what my expectations were. And, I was refined in a lot of the things and the perspectives that I had with going into this industry. So I think for me personally, I really struggled with just giving it off to somebody else, because for me it was like, if I'm unable to do this, does this mean that I'm not as good, or I'm not capable, or I can't have that title, if you will. So I think that like it was the ego side of myself being like, hey, if you give this to somebody, they're going to be able to say that they helped you or they did this for you. And for me, that was the biggest challenge, because again, I'm the eldest of, 16 or 13, I think it's 16 kids. So I'm the eldest daughter. I'm my dad's sun, moon, and all of his stars. So again, I'm the one that gets stuff done, And so again, having to step down from that was a big change for me. So
It's also like we say it in these terms, that you know, yeah, handing it all off, but it isn't like a blank check in perpetuity, right? Like it's something where it's like, okay, there are some things I have to relinquish control of for a period of time. Obviously, clearly, you know, clear. Sometimes there's definitely follow up, and it's trying to strike that balance, which is tough. I don't know. I feel like we've both on both sides have learned sometimes just like learning how to work with someone better and learning more about someone, and also like that changes your own systems as well. Like I know that, for instance, like you are very much the type that wants to hear like, hey, like let's not work quietly, please, let's work out loud. Okay, let's have updates. I got things that, because otherwise I'm going to bug you, and I'm more than happy to bug you. I'm more than happy to knock on doors. To which I say, yep, makes sense, cool. I can also be the same way. It's funny because like I don't know if I'm getting a service, I demand that service. Like it's not crazy, it's not nuts. That said, I guess my question for you is like, when it comes to what people expect working with a team is going to be like versus what is the actual reality. I think there's a lot of misconceptions that people have about like, well, if I just got a manager, then I wouldn't have to worry about social media content. And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you? No, who's told you that that mattered? When has that ever been a thing? What? No. Even if you got a social media content manager, you don't get to never think about the thing ever again. Like,
yeah.
it's more it's still strategy. You still need to like understand what the wheels are. Otherwise, if you just hand things off like and never consider them again, you're gonna
So you know what,
you might run
Lance,
into trouble.
you're kind of setting up something really well here that I was going to ask, and I appreciate that. So, Jer, I've had, we've had people come to us and say, "Here's the music, take it away. Here's the book. I've written the book. Now figure it out." For me, I'm like, as soon as I've birthed a baby, raised a child, and then I hand it off to someone else, I'm even more scrupulous with like who that person is, what that I know that if it's the right person, I can take maybe a step back and continue to focus on other things, but there's always a part of me that's going to be super involved with that. And
Mhm.
I don't understand why artists think that, you know, their work ends when the project is delivered, so to speak, because there's so much work that begins at that stage. Why don't you comment on that for us as a creator and as someone who, you know, has done multiple projects, both book and album with us? What do you think?
Well, I think it's really important for people to understand that, it's not a like one-stop shop. Like this is a part of the machine that comes into making anything successful, right? So I came on this partnership with a business background, with a marketing background, with, building a brand that I had been building and all of the stuff that I had for many years, like 15 plus years, So I was coming in burning hot. And so again, with the understanding of communications, of publicity, of, sales, of all of the different aspects that come with business. And I think one of the things is people don't really understand that music is a business and there's a business machine behind that needs to take place for all of the other successes to happen. Like having a product is one thing, which is the music, but having a system behind it that's going to be able to create those residual incomes, to have the team that's promoting, that's booking the calls, that's, ensuring the brand and the marketing and the meta ads. Like there's so much that comes into this that people don't really think about. And, sometimes it's like, oh, somebody asked me recently, like, do you make any money off your music? And I'm like, yeah, like there's this conception of, what being an artist is, and all of a sudden you're a millionaire and all of this different stuff. It's a growth. It happens in phases. And I think that when you come into this, and I had the same kind of notions that, things would just kind of happen overnight, and all you got to do is like be an artist, and things are going to happen. And I was rudely awake like snapped into reality that, hey, business, what this is like, that you have to show up every single day for yourself, and it needs to be driven by you, and you have to understand the different elements that come into these things, the conversations you have to have, the places you have to put yourself into in order for you to have that success. So again, it was a wake up call for me, coming into this agreement and this partnership with the team, that I wasn't thinking about music or art as a business, and it is in fact that all of those things. So again, having that team of people to be like, hey, did you think about this? Hey, did you, so again, it was a beautiful partnership in that I was able to have individuals that were experts to be able to say, hey, this is what you should be focusing on, and did you think about this, or different. So again, it wasn't a refinement. And I think that artists and people who are wanting to be authors or kind of have an impact in the world, it's not just being talented or being good at it, it's also having a team of people who are as dedicated as you are. And like you said, they need to be the right fit, right? So
Yeah, I think right fit is key. You said a couple things there. One is, the surprise, like how much you realized all of a sudden that, oh my God, there's so much more work to do here. And I think that that's such a key point, constantly being open to reiterating. I mean, fuck, just last night, I was creating new social media posts for my podcasts because I didn't like the artwork. I wanted to do something better. I tried something new, and then I said, oh my God, this looks so much better. And then I had to go backwards to the value session thumbnails, and there's only 9 of them because it's a small sub-series of the podcast, but it was like the 4th or 5th time that I'm retweaking those, but they look so much better. And guess what? The SEO scores were showing about a 5 to 10% improvement. And that's the refinement and the time that you need to constantly get better. So I saved all of those. I re-uploaded them to all of the Spotify podcast platforms, and then that was done. Coming back to the initial question, though, what do you think for you or for an artist the balance is of staying involved and hyper vigilant and retaining creative control, but also releasing that at the same time? Like, how does one pick that balance for themselves?
Yeah, well, and again, that was a struggle for me, right? Because again, I tend to be a terminator and I want to do everything and it needs to be done tomorrow. And like it's understanding that you have to be the driver, you have to be the one that sets the tone, the expectations, the ways that you want to be moving in the world, but also having an understanding that hey, you're working with human beings who also have obligations and responsibilities. And so just because I'm crazy gung ho doesn't mean that my team can be there with me or at the same capacity that I can. So again, it's having, both understanding, compassion, and empathy for people, understanding that, things are going to move. You need to relinquish a lot of control with a lot of this stuff, right? Like, it's like, yes, you can be good intentioned, you can have all of your ducks in a row, but sometimes things are just going to happen the way that they're going to happen. And again, you need to understand that not taking those things personally, not taking them as the doom and gloom and catastrophizing, which I did. So again, it's understanding that things are going to happen in the way that they're supposed to, as long as again you're communicating, setting expectations, but also understanding that we're human beings and things are going to happen that the way they're supposed to. But again, for me, one of the big things was, again, because I am a driver and, I'm a CEO and all of these different things, setting expectations of this is what I would like. Is this something we can do? And how can you accommodate, or what am I not seeing here, right? So again, having conversations with your team, checking in with them to see, what works best for me, but also what works best for you. And again, coming to a table where we can kind of all work together in a way that works for all of us, in all of the different elements. I think that will really help people just understanding the industry and what it actually takes. Right. And then again, on top of that, it's like, of course, if things don't turn out the way that you want them to, or in the timeline that you want, it's not going to work, or it's not failing, or it's just a part of the process, right?
Yeah. Well said. What's funny is this might be cheesy. I'm a dad. Sue me. I say cheesy stuff. You came into this as a woman, a wild woman. That's your brand. That's everything. And over the last year, through all the work we've done on the artistic side and the business side, but also the mindset side, I feel like you've gone from woman to whoa, man. There's been a very cool growth spiritually and with the art, and obviously who you are in the brand and everything that not everyone does in that short of a time.
Wow.
Erin, Lance,
Thanks.
come on, help me out.
Yeah, no, I think that, and again, I pay a lot of that back to the team, right? Because again, a lot of it, I step away from conversations where I'm like, I was crazy in that, like I always thought about, Erin, for instance, because again, she's my female comrade here. And I was like, was I harsh? Like, does she think I'm a total meanie or a bully or whatever it is? And again, those things helped me to reflect upon myself. And hey, what if I was in a group of other women, or in youth, or people who are looking at me delegating and being the type of leader that I thought I was being? Was I actually being a good leader, or was I being, again, a diplomat, right? So again, a lot of the things that we had gone through together created that space for me to have the safety to be able to self-reflect, to say, hey, is this conducive of the woman that I'm wanting to be in the world, and how I'm sharing my message and my story and my art, right? So again, the whole experience was a refinement of, how I was going to show up in this next chapter of my work. So hats off to you guys.
Well, I mean, thank you, but also to you for putting in the work. I mean, it's one of the things that I've had to learn with my team, and then I'll continue to learn as a human being, as a father, as a CEO, is how to constantly improve yourself and constantly get more confident and constantly get wiser with everything you're doing, more education, etc. But at the same time, constantly stay more humble and more grateful and more caring of everyone else's input, etc. There's this crazy balance that you have to constantly have, and it's not impossible through open communication. If you fall off, your team will hopefully remind you. And I think we've done a great job of doing that with each other. Why don't we pivot away from this and talk more about, your art, your music, your book? Erin, Lance, help me out here, man. I will always lead until other people lead. That's the way it should be. So do not feel bad jumping in and cutting me off. That is the whole point.
I have a question for Erin. Because again, I'm interested to kind of see your perspective on, the press releases or the content, because again, there's a whole process that comes into, we'll get to the book stuff, but I want to talk a little bit about the music side of things. Coming from, a PR strategist and, executor, if you will, reading on artists philosophies, or this album means this and this song means that, because again, I look at the things that I wrote to you, or like the things that we were writing, what this song means. How do you, like, what's the process for you in terms of like extracting information to put that out for different platforms to be able to pick up, and like what is that like for you to identify? So I guess for people who are listening, finding those marketable moments, how do we create those strategies around teaching artists that you do need to create a moment and capture that through words? And then from your perspective, how do you share that with people?
Oh,
You're muted, love.
yeah. Sorry. Me and Chris were bullying Erin into putting on different headphones because we thought there was feedback, and then of course that's completely stitched her up. So that's actually on. You know what? Actually, it's all Chris's fault.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
So
We heard her in the beginning.
I know, and then we were like, "Yo, the feedback is crazy," and Erin's like, "Okay, I will change the headphones. I promise." Yeah, I still can't, unfortunately, but if you click on that audio settings, hopefully you'll be able to choose a different. She's going to come back in, is what she's saying.
So
She's
while
gonna
we're
come back in.
waiting for her, do you guys have any
Mm,
comments on that? Maybe like
I
again.
have too many, but the thing is like I'm trying to get Erin to have a word in edgewise. Here, let's let her in and let's give her a chance here
Okay.
to talk, because I feel like I'm always like pushing. There you go.
I'm back.
Hi.
Yay.
Yes, you are, and we can hear you
Good.
perfectly. Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
let's
Thank
not
God.
touch anything. Not changing anything, no more headphones. But as I was saying, that was a really good question that you asked, and there's like a lot to chew on, and I really appreciate you asking that. It's a little bit different for each client based on who you get, because some people come in and, you know, they kind of need you to, they don't really know themselves yet. So there's a process of like, you know, we'll spend time interviewing them, getting to know them. You know, we'll have like at the beginning of a campaign, we'll just sort of like have a meeting where we all kind of like vibe. You know, there's so you have an understanding of who they are, what they're doing, what their vision or what they think their vision might be. And sometimes you have to like really guide them through that. And then other times you get artists that they're like, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, much like yourself, who has like a very clear like vision of what they want and where they're going and what they're trying to accomplish, and it's a matter of executing. So for each, it's a little bit different, but you know, sometimes when you have somebody who is very clear on what they want, it's a matter of like it becomes a lot more like of a back and forth in the sense that like for you specifically, you'll give me like quotes or lines about a song, and I'm like, that's a banger. Like that's better than what I could have put together. I think there was like one where it's just like for Almost Lovers, a single that came out last year. You're like, it's the thing that stuck out to me was like, this is a song about like any kind of guy who tries to approach a goddess without an offering, and I'm like, girl. Like, so sometimes like it's a very intuitive thing where it's just like they already know what, have the sound bites, they know what they want, and they just like spit something that's like, I'm gonna run with that, that's amazing. And then sometimes there's like a little bit more of a coaxing process. You know, with another client that we had, they're very sort of they needed a lot of help. I don't want to name names specifically, but like as we continued talk, they had this one particular music video that they were putting out, and I was like, okay, well, tell me about the music video, and they were kind of like, oh well, basically as they were talking, they were like, well, this person had this input, and then this person had this input, and then this person had this input. I'm like, okay, so the main thread that I'm pulling here is that every single person who's touched this has left their fingerprints on it, and it's a true collaborative piece of art. So sometimes you kind of just have to go at it with a place of curiosity and ask questions, and eventually the narrative will emerge. So that's fun too. But yeah, no, it's a lot of spending time with artists, getting to know them. If something piques your interest, lean into it, right? And it's a very collaborative back and forth as well, regardless of whether the artist has a fully formed identity or if they still need a little bit of help.
Yeah, and can you talk a little bit more about, again, artists thinking about marketable moments and how to create those in, through press releases or having a team of people to really capture and capitalize on those moments?
Yes, when it comes to marketable moments, I think it's a common thing that I see with some artists is that they'll have something that is like easily marketable and they'll kind of like not even realize it. Where it's just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna put out this thing and whatever. And it's like, no, that deserves a press release. Like, hold up. Um, it's essentially any time that you put out any kind of release, be it a single, a video, an album, have anything that would be newsworthy, like a tour, any kind of collaboration that is like notable, those are all should be automatically, you should be thinking this is a marketable thing. Um, but sometimes like there are things that are more subtle as well, and that's where we come in to sort of like, you know, sometimes having, if you're too close to a project, you can kind of be a little bit blind to a few things that are like you don't realize that something is interesting because you're not seeing the forest for the trees, and that's where it's kind of good to have a team around you to be like, no, 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 wait, that's bigger than you realize. We need to lean into that, right?
Hmm.
That's a really good point. That's a really
Yeah.
good point. It being too close to something, almost like you don't know what you know, kind of. You don't know what people are actually going to find interesting, which is something that, again, a lot of artists, a lot of people in general have with social media, where they're like, "Oh, is that worth posting?" And I'm like, "People are nosy. Yeah, of course we want to know what you're doing. People are fucking yeah, obviously." Um,
Well, and I think that that kind of goes into something that I'm really big on, which is celebrating ourselves, right? Like, I think as a society, we're not really good at being like, hey, I did a really cool thing. A,
mm,
because you're like, nobody's gonna celebrate with me, or, that type. It's like, I feel like I'm bragging or whatever it is. And I know, especially like indigenous people, that's one of the things. It's like, be humble. It's like, okay,
mhm.
I can be humble, but also be happy of the things that I've achieved and show other people what's possible, right? So again, it's being okay with the sensation of being celebratory and patting yourself on the back, because again, I don't there's a lot of negativity and like fear mongering in the world, that it's a breath of fresh air to be like, hey, a really good thing happened to me. What's something that happened really cool with you and your life, right? So I think we need to give each other more permission to be, screaming on the rooftops that, hey, I did this incredible thing. And I think that having a team like this, having somebody like Erin who's able to, pick out those nuggets of gold and be like, hey, we got to share this with the world. I think that that's extremely important, and why having a team like this really helps to do that. So,
And
I think
that's been the big. I know, Chris. This is I know this is a big adjustment. I apologize.
no, man, I'm just jumping in, but
No, no,
jump
no,
in,
it's cool.
go.
No, I think that's the big thing, Jer, is that like when it comes to creating those marketable moments and knowing what's worthwhile and whatnot, 100%, totally see that, and it's helpful to have another team like chiming in. sounding off, giving their input, but as well, do you find that like whenever you are celebrating something on socials, you're finding that you're getting blowback on socials ever when it comes to celebrating your wins? And if you do, who do you notice is the people doing that kind of thing? Like, is it like girl? I mean, I have no delusions. Like, I think that women are so supportive and are also the first people to cut each other down at times. And so we can talk about a thing so much and hope for a thing, and we can be so hopeful. And there's also this like rolling reality that also just sometimes kind of like rears its ugly head. What's been your experience of that, and how are you like, I don't know, it's not your responsibility to change any of that shit, first of all. You can't change everything all at once. But what is your reaction to that?
Yikes. I just literally made a beautiful post and I'm trying to pull it up so I can read it and then we can kind of use that as a starting off point because it was a good one.
Ooh.
Here we go. Right here. Okay. I've come to realize that some people become so attached to their scars that they stop wanting to heal. Their story becomes their identity because healing would require taking accountability for the choices that also brought them to where they are. For me, vulnerability has never been about attention. It's always been about connection. I've shared parts of myself because I wanted people to know where I come from, why I work so hard, and why I refuse to give up. I hoped someone would see themselves in my story and realize they weren't alone. I've also learned that when you show people the imperfect parts of yourself, some will decide that's who you are. The messy moments, the grief, the fear, the uncertainty. Instead of seeing your humanity, they mistake it for your identity. They decide you're too much, too emotional, too broken, or somehow unlovable. And I think that's one of the deepest fears we carry, which is if you really know me or if you really knew me, would you still love me? Dang, like that was, yeah. Okay, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah,
That
do
hits.
it.
That
Keep.
hits.
Yep.
When we're at our lowest, we don't need people to judge us. We need people who are willing to stand beside us while we find our way back to ourselves. Yet, too often, people leave. They walk away, they reinforce the very fear that we were trying to overcome. And that's what Being Hotter is all about, my album. It's way more than what people think. It's never been about physical beauty. It's choosing growth over excuses. It's responsibility over victimhood. It's gratitude over bitterness, healing over hiding. And it's deciding that your past can explain you, but it doesn't have to define you. It's asking better questions, thinking better thoughts, making better choices, and showing up for yourself even when it's hard. Being hotter means refusing to settle for the smallest version of yourself. Because the truth is, you deserve a beautiful life. You deserve
Mhm.
peace, joy, healthy love, and success. Not because you've never struggled, but because you're willing to keep becoming. And that's what being hotter is. It's not perfection, it's transformation. So I think that really, and I had like this picture of myself. Literally, I think I was like 14 here.
Oh,
And
damn.
I'm like, this is the most purest version of me, you know?
Mm.
Wow.
And that's who I am on the inside. So you take away the extensions, take away the makeup, take away the clothes. That's the girl that's sitting in front of you at any given time. I'm still that girl. And though I've come a long way and have created this world for myself, this environment where I get to, be the can I be her Barbie and I get to be the glamour queen and all of this stuff. It took me a long time to get here and to believe that I could have good things and that I could believe that I was worth listening to or showing up for or believing in myself because I didn't think that I had what it took, right? To do all of the things that I've done. So that deserves to be celebrated. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm better than you. I'm not saying that I believe everybody deserves the exact same amount of everything. There should be fairness and equality in all the things that we do. It's just sometimes you have to fight really hard for the things that you want. And Be Hotter is about being the best version of yourself and whatever that means, right? So it's the negative thinking. You and we just talked about this the other day, Lance. You were saying something where it's like, oh, this always something happens, and it's like, no, that's not cute. Be hotter.
I
You
literally
know?
just, I literally turned around and told that same piece of advice to my sister. Literally, I think that same day, or was it anyway? Like, wow, it was it was powerful because like so many other things are like I don't know. That's my own shit. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's my own shit. But like, what was really cool was like you were able to be like, not cute, not. It's not. And I know that that's been serving a function for you for like a long time. But like, I'm here to tell you like just make that improvement for yourself. And I was like, what is happening right now? Like, what the whoa, this is like the first time that's ever worked. Like, what? So
Jared said something super cool there, and that's that.
many things, yeah.
Well, yeah, 100%. You have to ultimately love yourself, right? Like that concept of like not caring what other people think and them walking away and reaffirming what you were gonna, I knew that you were gonna break up with me, whatever it is. Who cares if you love yourself? That's where everything starts. And I find it funny that with Be Hotter, there's this concept of um, I'm gonna grow up and like go to the gym and educate myself and do all these things to become this incredible, like leveled up version of Christopher Gonda. And yet in doing so, I'm oftentimes most people are losing sight of their inner child, which is where we all have to go back to. It's that fucking balance of like honoring your child, honoring your true core free self, but then packing on all the tools that we've learned and not letting those tools become this like weird armored veiled version of ourselves. Instead, they're not in opposition of, but in balance with that raw, naked, free spirit. And I think that you've done so much of that, like return to your truth over the last year. I could be way off, but what do you think?
100%. Like, I think that, yikes, like, it's so crazy to think about. It's a lot. Like, it's like kind of like that someone's holding your throat because it's so like, oh my God. But it's terrifying and it's scary. And it's, I always told people my writing, which then turned into my books, which then turned into my music. It's like music to me was always the scariest thing because it's like I'm pouring my heart out and I'm putting it on a platter for you. And I'm saying, here, this is who I am. This is who, my essence. And here it is. Do you like it? Do you want it?
Mm.
Do you, and people can be like, what's this? And it's like, that is the scariest thing, is to give people pieces of yourself that you had to work so hard to overcome, that you had to like blood, sweat, and tears into these things, and people just to like not give a hoot about, that's just a stupid song, or like, that's Can I Be Her? Like, who's she? Like, it's so funny that people like they don't see the deeper meaning to things. And in this journey of me, because I wanted this album to be me showing the ugly parts of myself, the uncouth parts of myself. Because again, everybody loves the professional Jer, the person who's a leader and an innovator and wanting to, inspire people. But people don't like the Jer that is not all together and weak and swears and does things like overtly. It makes people uncomfortable, right? Like, again, the Blessed in My Heels song, the Are You My Type, the Almost Lovers, and the Be Hotter. I think those were ones, if you were ever gonna get turned off from me, that was the point. Like, I wanted to be like, look, this is all the ugly stuff that I hide away from the world. Do you still love me? And the amount of like unfollows, this is bad, you shouldn't be doing that, people are watching, and just the comments were just yikes. And it took a lot for me to be like, that's the whole point. Like, that's what society makes us feel like. Hey, you're not enough, you're not good enough, you're not smart, what you have, like, those are things that we hide away. And all I'm trying to say with me doing the things that I do is like, you're a human being. Everybody has those feelings. Everybody thinks those thoughts. And that's the part of it. It's like, if you took the power away from those things, just how much more happier would you be? How much, more could we feel connected to each other as human beings? When we take away our differences and the things that are actually scary, we could actually have unity. We could have, community. We could have all the things that we've been wanting for ages, which is to belong, like that's the whole point of everything that I do. And again, it might seem, like I said, uncouth is like the best word. But the whole point is somebody's got to be brave enough to say those things and do those things in order for things to actually change and to look at them and dissect them. Like I said, things only get or are they have the power that you give to them. And I'm still that same girl. I'm still the professional.
Mhm.
I'm still the HR person. I'm still, all those people that I've always been. I'm just a lot more brave and a lot more vulnerable because I've been able to peel those layers of myself that I wore as masks. And just now I can show up and say, hey, I'm just that girl that's in that picture.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how professional JRPG is PG? She's very, you know, easy for all ages. I think we've focused so much now on ourselves and our personal goals and the ego rather than each other. And I think that if we were more in touch with ourselves, more healed, more happy and whole, that community would work, right? Like the unity is in community, and then you need compassion to be in a good community. Speaking of community, just I want to go back to the question you asked Erin and kind of expand on that a bit more, because as much as we love the balance of love and logic here, of heart and mind, we do want to leave as much knowledge for aspiring artists as possible. You asked Erin about PR and what you have to do, and not everyone thinks the same way. Not everyone has the ability to look at their work and say, here are all the different hooks. Sometimes they can, but as you mentioned, Erin, they're too close to it. It's kind of like therapy where you just hold up a mirror and you start to talk to someone else and all these ideas start to percolate. That's what we do, especially with artists that are young or starting out, is build that foundation, have a communication with them that allows for these ideas to percolate. Do a deep dive interview with Lance, do a session with Erin, and then as a team we'll collectively work together on the, okay, Jer, here's the album, here's Be Hotter, what are you trying to, well, there's this and then there's that, okay, well, how do we connect these two? Oh, this song, it's this date of the year, what if we tie it? That's how it naturally comes up. And I think that while it is possible to do in the singular, the success and the ideas and the ability to expand it happens so much more within community. Erin, do you want to talk a bit more to PR and how we kind of ideate some of these things with clients?
Yeah. In terms of like PR and ideating, we do spend a lot of time with our clients, sort of going back and forth with them about what they're doing. They'll come up with an idea, and we'll sort of like counter to, or not counter, but like yes and with whatever they have, or sometimes push back on some ideas as well. And so there's a lot of collaborative, iterative, work that goes into like creating a PR and marketing campaign with them. But at the end of the day, like it's all centric to how can we support their vision, right?
I mean, that's well said. I think there's this other part of the artist development that there's the part that we can't do for you. We don't like to talk about it because we like to think that we like to focus on what we can do. That's a shit ton. Probably overly ambitious at times where we're like, we could probably do that. We could probably do that. And then it's like, am I going to grow another limb to do that? Okay, this is a one-time thing. We can't afford to do that every time. No. But there's this one part, and it's the part that you had, Jer, and that's the part that was so captivating and really interesting. And there's some artists that have had it so clearly that I'm like, whoa. And then there's others that they don't have this necessarily, and it's a self-awareness, a self-assuredness. I know who I am. Being able to say who that is. I actually literally can't really say that about myself I actually can't. If I'm being really on, like, cards on the table, totally authentic, honest. Like, I actually don't at times really know. And it's so funny because others are like, how do you not know? Like, it's so very clear to me. Right. But
But
to
that's part
me,
of that. That is such an important part of the journey of finding authenticity, right? It's like,
oh,
fuck, maybe I
yeah,
don't know.
maybe I don't know. And when you find out, and also this isn't a moving target. This is not like a couch that you get and you put it, it's like, oh, that ties the room. Perfect. Living room is done. I'm all set. That's who I am. Aces. And then that you just set it and forget it. It is so not that. It is a moving target because you got to do this thing called life and you got to keep living it. So that's
You
gonna fuck
change
things.
over time, right? You
Right, right,
change
right.
over time.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not gonna stay static. You're not a couch. Is my big insight to this conversation today.
Well, and I think, sorry, Lance, to cut you off, but I think
Please.
what is good and helpful in that space of trying to know who you are or becoming that version of yourself. Like I know, like I just had a conversation the other day being like, um, my mentors, like I feel like I know Tupac Shakur. I feel like Prince and I sit on the couch and talk daily. Like I have a relationship with these people. I got to know them. I know their qualities, their values, who they are as people, and the art side of things, right? So
Mm.
it's finding mentors or people that you want to emulate, or there are pieces of them that you really like. And again, when I was having the conversation, I was like, how can I like Tupac Shakur and how can I like Prince and Tina Turner and Shania Twain? All of them were like trailblazers and innovators, and they did not give a right.
Mhm.
How do you expect me to be? It's funny, my mom, one day we were like driving or something. She's like, Jer, I think it's time for you to be a lady. I said, how am I supposed to be a lady when Ice Cube and Easy E raised me? Like, what are we talking?
That's the rhyme right there. How am I supposed to be a lady when Ice Cube and Easy raised me? That's the
Yeah,
next. That's the next
that's good shit
album.
right there. So about that G rap album that you're gonna put out. Uh, so I think that that's the biggest thing is for me is that like some things, when I was working on the book in the capacity that I did with you, Jer, like basically my role was essentially just asking questions, just basically peppering you with questions.
Mhm.
But what was really cool in that process is that as a result, I got to learn so much more about you that I'm so excited for people to actually read what has come about from this whole process. What was going to be just a simple edit had turned into like, this is a new book. Like it's not even a different edition. Like this is a completely separate thing. So as an added bonus, hey, second book, yay. Um,
Yeah.
but what came about from that is knowing that like sometimes the things that people have dealt in their life, you've got some options, and one of them is to like be real, get the big sad or mad about it, and stay there. And then the other ones are, okay, well, that sucked, and I'm gonna fucking show you. And I think you knuckled the hell down, and you really went for it in terms of that, because and you know what? That's what you needed. You converted that. That was your choice to convert that. That was not like a everybody wants to have like some sort of origin story where it's super sad, but then it's like they naturally flow into some sort of superhero, and it's like that's not just a thing that happens as a result or a consequence of being an orphan or of being of a skiing accident and suddenly I don't have parents and now I have to be raised by my aunt and uncle. I think what actually happens is like a series of decisions that need to be made for an identity. And for you, that self awareness was out of a result of that process. And that is the part that we cannot do. And when you have that self assuredness, it is a totally different game that we're playing with. Because like marketing is just like pitching stories, really. It's just telling a story that in a certain way at a certain time in a certain medium that has the best chance of deepening, like like a pitcher plant. You're trying to snag people and drag them into your uh, gooey sac, a digestive sac. I'm sticking with that as my analogy, I swear. Um, but so that's what marketing is. But you have this, and I'm so excited for you to share that story, more of that story with people, and I don't know, tell others like in really simple terms, maybe what they can look to expect from reading the book, from reading more about your own journey, is my question that I'm trying to cap on at the end there.
Do you remember what our title is? Like, it's literally so new that don't even have it memorized yet. So for anybody who has read anything that I've done, you know, my thing is being a wild woman, right? And again, people think certain things about being a wild woman, right? Like they think that it's this half naked woman that runs in the woods and has twigs and berries in her hair and covers her private parts. And I'm like, I'm definitely that. But my wild woman is being soft and tender and sweet and vulnerable and sensitive, because it's more dangerous to be that in the world than it is to be that other version of myself. And so we've moved from the wild woman persona into a different, more refined version of Jer, if you will. Um, it's wild to wise. Finish it for me.
An Indigenous woman's guide to wild grace, soft strength, and your sacred self.
Yeah, so that is such a beautiful descriptor of what I was trying to achieve with the first one. But I had to go through this journey to get to this woman, right? So again, it was a refinement, it was an up leveling, but even up leveling is not even the proper word, because it's more so going within and being
Mm.
able to tap into myself in those different parts that I was, you know, this scary porcupine that's like, don't come close to me, because inside I was just this little bunny. I was like, just love me and just you know, like that's how it was. And now I get to be the bunny in the world, right? So it's that's what the book is about. It's, you know, looking inside and evaluating what are the coping mechanisms that you had to overcome to survive. And now that you know that, are you still in environments where you still have to act those out? Or can you choose to soften and refine the way you speak, refine the way you show up in the world? And if you let yourself be those softer sides of yourself, how differently would that be? Right? That's essentially what the book is about. It's not letting the things that have happened to you harden you and make you cold and bitter, because then you miss out all the beautiful parts of life, right? So the book is an invitation, a permission slip that it's okay. You can be the sides of yourself that you hide away and protect, because you don't need to protect them anymore.
And I,
The descriptor indigenous, I love how it's done, because this isn't a book that's about that or for that. It's coming from the perspective of a woman who happens to be indigenous. I just want to clarify that for anyone watching or listening. It's so beautiful, Jer, that, you know, as a friend of yours now, having worked with you for this long, having met with you outside of work, that your strength came from finding your weakness. Your strength and your fortitude came from honoring your softness. And that is the beauty of this world and this life, is the balance of the two, right? Like something shiny and beautiful comes from severe pressure, right? Immense pressure creates a diamond and vice versa. Only recently did I start to think that light might actually be bad, because in light we are lazy and we're soft and we're not growing. What if dark is actually the good, in the sense that in the dark times, like Lance's shirt, when the journey is long and full of terror, do we harden, do we strengthen, do we increase our resolve? Honor both of them. And I think you really found this beautiful balance in you, which is, you know, essentially the modus operandi for the book.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Lance.
and I was gonna say it's also so much more than like you absolutely it is a permission slip, but it's so much more than that. It's it's leading by example. It's the idea of the medicine wheel coming up quite naturally, by the way. Like it was there. It was just like I'm asking questions and you're having to like point out certain things to me, and I'm like, so it is like this, and you're like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, we can make that like more maybe literal, and then you're like, yes, absolutely, and it was already there. And so there's so much more to the components where you're actually trying to, not even trying to, I think you successfully accomplished like this is the kind of inward journey that you can have. And then when you turn the wheel and you go through the different seasons, as it were, internally, and you do that work, you will see tangible impacts, the like of which you couldn't even imagine. There's no, and what I like about it as well is that there's no like blank checks being written with that. There's no like, and then there will be riches that nope, you're gonna work on you and whatever that causes and whatever shit that comes up because of that, brother, that was yours at the very start. So what you're allowing for is people to confront and to travel internally. So I'm so beyond excited for when it finally gets to see the light of day. I know you are as well. My God, get the shit out of it.
It's like what you said, Lance. Earlier you were talking about like I don't even really know myself, right? And we're not ever gonna fully know who any of us are in this lifetime, and that's the beautiful part of life, is that every conversation you have, every step you take, every day is full of opportunities, and it's up to you to see it as an opportunity. And how is it refining me and taking me to places that I couldn't have gone on my own, right? So that's one of the things we as Indigenous people believe, that the longest journey you're ever going to take is, like I said, from your head to your heart. And that's where we should be living. That's where we need to be at all times. And again, like that's that little Jer I showed you guys early, is that's the girl. She didn't have the accolades, she didn't have the success, but she was perfect and she was worthy all the time. I just didn't know it, right? So there's that part in all of us where we need to sit beside our inner child, and we need to love the heck out of them. And that's what I hope that this book does for people, is it shows them that there's a side of you that needs to be loved and cherished and adored and celebrated. And that's the invitation. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen for our whole lifetime, is building that relationship with that self that needed to be protected and needed to be loved. And that's what's actually going to heal you and me and the world, is by us allowing ourselves to be that. And again, the book is not, when you read it, you'll get to the final pages and you'll be like, what happened? Those songs where you listen to a song and you're just like the D'Angelo, he just drops it and you're like, what happened? It's that stark, it's not done. That's the point. It's up to you to finish the story. So that's what it's about. And I hope people can truly see that, we put a lot of heart into this. We put a lot of Jer into this that nobody's ever seen before. And I think that truly healed me, and being a part of this team and that relationship writing the book with Lance really helped to, close the chapter of the spaces that I needed to overcome to be brave enough to show up the way that I have been. So yeah, like it's been a wonderful journey. So thank you guys.
And you.
Hey man, the journey is just getting started. I know that Lance has to drop. He's got some kid rearing related activities that he needs to deal with, which is fine. Our motto is family first. So Lance, piss off.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Adios.
And to you. And Jer, I'll see you again real soon next week. Thank you. Adios, gang. I don't know if I should turn my camera off or if I should just leave it.
Just leave it on.
Let's see what happens. It's so weird.
If your place is haunted, we'll know then.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay.
Just leave it on.
Okay. I'll see you guys later.
Adios.
I can't believe I'm about to just go bye.
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 I love what you said there, Jerry. I mean, there's so much of this conversation that ties into your book, the idea of community, the idea of like, believing in yourself and following through, but also relinquishing control and seeking that help at the same time, a balance of the two, the inner child, the tough woman. It's it's such a good reminder that, what am I trying to say? You can never have enough help. Like you mentioned Tupac and some of the people that have influenced you, who have influenced me as well, that I look up to. I guarantee that at some point in their lives, even when they were at the top of their game, there were moments, if not days, where they said, "Man, I am down. I'm in the dumps. I'm depressed. How do I keep going?" Because it's tough to stay fully motivated all the time. It's not, expected of us. And the more that we have people around us that can remind us of that, or the tools like this book, the better. I don't think that there are ever too many self-help things if they're done authentically, because they all will inspire a certain type of person at a certain time for a certain reason. And sometimes it's not like I've said this before, it's not like oh my God, I read that book and it changed my life and I will forever remember it. Sometimes it's, I read that book and I needed it right now. And that was so crucial to getting over this hump in the journey continuing. And maybe I'll never think of that book again, but it's micro versus macro. Both of them are important. You can't make this up. I've been listening to Tribe all morning. I just get into habits where I'll put on an artist and just go through the catalog. God Lives Through, Youthful Expression, Pad and Pen. Those are the next songs in the playlist. I'm not a religious person, but I do believe that heart head combo that you talked about is the God, right? We have to look inward to figure out what we truly need, who we truly are, and then translate that into our minds to keep going. Whereas most of us are now just sitting in our heads rather than in our feels and thinking we know best when we don't. That youthful expression, that's the inner child we talked about. That is the amazing thing. And how do you express that and get it out? Pad and pen, baby. You can't make this shit up. It's there, and that's as easy as it is.
Yeah.
How do we do that? Repetition, repetition.
100%. And I'm actually taking a course right now, which is about leadership. And one of the things we were talking about last night was, again, emotionalized knowledge. So the way, again, there's the actual learning something, but then there's the emotion side of it, which is like, how you can learn something and you think you know it, but you actually don't know it until you put it into action, where you can actually feel it. That's where it gets implanted inside of you. And then the third step to that is the passing it on. Right? So that's the call for every individual. Many people will learn something and think that they know it, but they don't actually know it until they've actually put it into practice, written it down, actually felt it by doing it. So again, it's a 3-step process that you have to do with any information. Is you need to embody it in order for you to experience it. And that, again, is the invitation of both my book and, again, the music. Like, it's all so interrelated, and it's so funny. I always said that I was a wizard with words. Like, writing is my first love, even before music, which is crazy to me. But that was my therapy, right? Like, being a little girl, I didn't have nobody to talk to. Nobody could understand me. I was like this poet, when I was like 7 years old. I actually found the first song that I wrote when I was 7 years old just the other day, which was like, that's so funny. But yeah, that is what it is. It is going inward, sharing it, and doing something with it, right? So again, the knowledge is just knowledge until you actually feel it. And then true mastery is when you share it with people, right? Because nothing is actually ours or owned or belongs to us. The whole point of it is to share it with the world. So
Yeah.
it does the medicine, which is to heal people and to connect people and all of the fun stuff that we're all trying to strive for as human beings. So yeah, it's like you said, Chris, was it Chris or Lance? It's like, let go and let Jer.
Let go and legere. I love that. Let me ask you a question, just because I'm just now realizing tribe, community, there's tie-ins to your indigenous roots there with that word alone. I'm watching a recent episode of Rogan. He's got a guest on, and they're talking about the existence of giants and, like, actual physical proof of that, and biblical tones to that, and cover-ups and all that fun stuff. But one of the things he said during this conversation that I found really fascinating is he said, if you look at a lot of, like, historical society, there's been this crazy switch where we think we're the smartest, we think we're smarter than ever before, and we keep looking forwards as, like, how do we get smarter and smarter? Whereas in societies past, it was almost like they looked backwards, where they said, man, grandpa and grandma, like, and mom and dad, they know so much. How do we preserve that knowledge and keep that wisdom and retain that wisdom? And I found it so funny, like, that, we've gone from a society that's almost like backwards looking to forwards looking. Not that one or the other is better. I'm not saying I know. What do you think? Give me your comments or you 2 cents, given your indigenous heritage. This concept of, like, community and, perpetuating growth.
Well, it's funny, and I don't know if this is going to answer it, but when I hear that, my brain instantly went to, there was, I don't know if it was a class, whatever, and they were talking about how back in the day, Plato or Socrates, one of the guys said, right now I have to memorize everything. I have to go through it, and I have to, experience it. That's how I gain knowledge. The way that the world is working and the way that it's moving, we no longer have to write stuff down. We just go into Google and, grandmother Google pops it up and it's right there. We have chat now. Like, the fact that we no longer have to retain anything shows, like, us, we were like, hey, that's going to make things so much better and faster, and we're going to, like, be so more efficient. But nobody actually retains anything anymore. Like, do you know your mom's phone number? Do you know, like, how to get to this place? Like, I'm a visual person, so I'm good, but it's so true. Like, we have exchanged that embodied, emotionalized knowledge for gaining it from somewhere that's outside of us. And that is such a, like, a deficit to ourselves, because we don't really know anything anymore. And so, again, as Indigenous people, we are an oral tradition people, which means we didn't have written words. We didn't even have, like, letters, if you will. The fact that we as Indigenous people have to change our language into how many numbers or letters are in the alphabet? Is it 24 or something? We had, like, something like 60, 80 for once. So again, having to retract all of that into this system is just crazy, right? So, and we're not only are we a traditional people, or an oral traditional people, so everything, we exchange information through songs, stories, everything was about something, but it was never telling anything directly. Even our language, right? Like, if I were to say, I'm gonna bake a pie today, or let's say you asked me as an Indigenous person in your language, say apple pie. There's no word for that. It is, I'm going to go out into the woods, break down some wood, make some firewood. I'm going to put it in this box, which is a hot pot. I'm going to mix this dough, and I'm going to, like, that's what I'm saying is the way that we've moved as a society has taken away our instincts as human beings, which is that intuition that we have, that knowing that we have, that compass that we have. It's been so lowered and lessened, and we no longer practice those instinctual things that we have. And that's what's wrong with all of us, is we no longer feel things. We just think about things, and we scare ourselves out of even trying anything, because it's like, oh my God, that's so scary. Like, we're all gonna die. And it's like, no, like, your body knows how to refresh itself, take care of it. Like, you know everything you need to know, and you always known it. It's just that your mind and society has taught you not to trust yourself. So I hope that answered the question, but
It does, and it's more of just a talking point. But I think it comes full circle back to the book. And Erin, I'd love if you start to wrap us up after this. Uh, is that information is just information until it's used, right? And like you said earlier, I think that this book is so important because it allows people to maybe connect with themselves a bit better and maybe look inward a little bit more, maybe start to evaluate who they are and what they can do with their life. It took me decades before I had that weird aha moment where I said, I don't have to go to this school. I don't have to live in this country. I don't have to do any of these things. I could sell everything, uproot, and go to Costa Rica and be, a surf bum for the rest of my life if I wanted to. And that freed me to start doing everything that I wanted to do rather than everything I thought I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And there's a huge difference between those. And I think your book does a really good job of touching on that and guiding that. And it's a reminder, for those that need it, which is most of us, keep coming back to that. Keep coming back to your truth, your authentic self.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. I mean, hey, what's the thing Stevie Nicks says? Don't be a lady, be a legend, Choose to disrupt, choose to make things hard, choose to challenge and question, and don't take things as face value, because it's like, where did this come from? And who is this serving? And does it actually serve you? And being Absolutely. Open to the fact that it may not, and it may later down the road, but it doesn't right now. So again, be aware of what you attach yourself to and what you deem as who you are, because you may not be that in 10 minutes, So.
Yeah. Erin, what say you?
Yeah, this particular AMA was one that I was like really excited and looking forward to, because I know that like there's a lot of you carry a lot of lived in wisdom, Jer, with you, that I feel like anytime that we discuss, yourself, your story, the book, your music, I feel like I've only ever scratched the surface of it. And that's really exciting. But, even the way that this entire conversation has flowed from start to end, it was like we've gone through, community and the importance of having a good team around you and how that helps elevate you, by having someone who cares but is just distanced enough to, give you a different perspective on, what might help you ultimately, as well as we've also gone through the process of going inward and putting more of yourself into the book, which I think is also another great iteration of the book that you're going to be releasing soon, because I can only imagine that putting more of yourself and your story and your lessons into the book probably not only helped you process and work through a few things, but it'll also, when we are our most authentic selves, it gives other people permission to also be vulnerable, be themselves, be maybe a little less polished, and I think that's a really important thing that you are doing, and by continuing to tell your story and share your wisdom to other women and other generations of women potentially, in doing that, that's also its own form of community building in its own way of here's what I've learned, now I'm going to impart it into you, and then watching them take what they do with that information and flourish in their own way. So yeah, there's a lot here that I think was really insightful, and yeah, this is a great conversation to be a part of, and I want to thank you for joining us this week.
Yeah, thank you for having me and the opportunity, and again, just for all of your expertise that you bring. Thanks for having me a part of the team, and of course, putting up with me.
putting up with you is the easy part. And you know what's funny is that that's all part of the learning and growth. We don't get better unless we are at times butting heads with people and then asking ourselves, why are we butting heads, and figuring out ways to better ourselves and choose a positive path forward rather than just saying, nope, not going to do it. I mean, sometimes you might have to for your own sanity, put up some boundaries. But for the majority of people, just figure out how to get along.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Jared, we'll see you soon. Thanks for joining today. Erin, thanks for wrapping us up. And we'll be back AMA next Wednesday.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day.
Talk soon.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.